Good evening, everybody. Great to see everybody. How's it going? Tonight, I am going to be talking about the Red Green Alliance that we're seeing in Canada. Just so you're aware, the FFC brochure and stickers are now pinned up top. If anybody's interested in dispensing those or feedback on how you think they look, please let me know. I think the retro look is really cool. Please let me know what you think of them. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the Red Green Alliance that we are seeing in Canada between the communists, the Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau, far left communists, and the Islamists in this country. And in my opinion, this is the most disturbing trend we are seeing in this country, both Canada, the UK, across the world, and we need to fight back. It's past due time for us to fight back against this Red Green Alliance. Perfect examples. Post the Iran attack, the mainstream media will not report on this. There was a shooting last night in Toronto, 17 shots by certainly an Iranian Revolutionary Guard member, 17 shots into a boxing gym, guy who was pro-Iranian. And you say to yourself, why in the hell does Canada have to pay for issues going on in the Middle East? And the answer, you look at how many Iranians alone we have allowed into Canada over the past 5 years. The numbers shocked me. Over 53,000 Iranians have been allowed into the country. The government of Canada itself acknowledges that members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, hundreds of them, have been allowed into the country. There's an even more extreme story in the United States that they aren't covering very closely. A man down in Texas wearing a shirt that said "Soldier of Allah" shot up a Texas bar last night. Shot up a Texas bar. 3 are confirmed dead. A bunch are injured. He had a Quran in his car. He was a recent arrival to the United States. So we have a mass shooting in the United States. We have a shooting in Canada directly linked to the events in the Middle East. And I would bet my life we are going to continue to see these types of issues, new arrivals coming into the country. Is there a single political conflict that now happens internationally that is not affecting Canada? I can't think of a single one. Every single time now there's any issue going on internationally, Canada has to deal with it due to our open borders policy. Now, let me know in the chat how many of you are familiar with the Red Green Alliance. This, in my estimation, is the top issue in this country. These are fundamentally anti-Western movements that hate the freedom of expression, all the values that made Canada such a great country, the Christian values, Roman law. So essentially, for those of you who are not familiar, the Red Green Alliance, the green piece are the communists. So everybody knows the Gays for Gaza crew, the ones who say that Canada is a colonial power. Essentially, Canada haters, the type of people who say that we are living on stolen land in Canada. The anti-Western movement that has been festering, going stronger and stronger on the West, the Gays for Gaza, the anti-colonial movement, those who claim that Canada is a racist, hateful country. We've heard all the rhetoric. It's the exact same stuff. It's the group like Justin Trudeau that said if you didn't want to get the jab, you're a racist, you're a misogynist. The far left in Western nations, and they are teaming up with Islamists. They are teaming up. We have now imported in Canada, we now have over 2 million Muslims in the country. hundreds of members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. We allowed in tens of thousands of people from Palestine at the same time as in the Middle East. In the Middle East, they would not allow these people into the country. So the neighbors of the Palestinian people who know these people better than anybody else said, hell no, you're not coming in. In Canada, we allowed them in by the tens of thousands. These are the people who are chanting death to Canada, intifada in our lifetime, rolling fake body bags, fake blood on their hands. Fundamentally, what ties the Islamists, and you notice Mark Carney says Muslim values are Canadian values. He's doing that for a reason. And that reason is that the government of Canada is aligning the Reds, the communists in this country with the Greens, the Islamic extremists, to form an incredibly strong voter bloc that's incredibly difficult to beat. It's the exact same thing that we see in the UK. Now we see conflict in the Middle East. How many sleeper cells, how many Islamic extremists would you estimate are in the country right now? Because there's got to be hundreds, if not thousands, due to these insane open border policies. We've seen 2 terror attacks already, the one in Texas as well as the one in Toronto, which you will not see in the news. We need to completely shut down immigration from these areas of the country. And the craziest thing about what's going on in Canada right now is that if you are in this country illegally and you are convicted of a crime, you are not automatically deported. Let me repeat that. If you're in the country illegally and you commit a crime, you are not automatically deported. That's how extreme, thank you so much. That's how extreme this faction is in this country. It's time for Canadians to stand up, fight back, because if we don't fight back for our Western values, Canada as we know it, as we love it, is going to cease to exist. Canada cannot withstand importing tens of thousands of people who hate this country, who absolutely hate this country. And now in the West, among the commies, among the far left, there's a large subset of those people who also hate the West, who hate our values, who hate the British parliamentary system, common law, the values, the Christian values that built this civilization. They absolutely hate it. They deplore it. It's time for patriotic Canadians to stand up and fight back. If you're interested in getting the word out, I have pinned up top, I have brochures as well as stickers for the Fight for Canada Party. Get those. They are very easy. Vistaprint, et cetera, et cetera. Please message me if you have any questions. You can print those out because we need to start spreading our propaganda. This country needs a complete moratorium on immigration, a complete moratorium, a total stop for the next 5 years, as well as the deportation of people who are here illegally, because this partnership that we're seeing, it's the Marxists, the communists, and the Islamists. What ties these two groups together? You think to yourself, what do these two have in common? What do the extreme far left and Islamists have in common? It is a common hatred for Western civilization. It is a common hatred for Western civilization. And we have imported these people. We have imported these people by the tens of thousands. We have imported these people by the tens of thousands to this country. I would not be surprised whatsoever to see more attacks, unfortunately, in Canada in the coming weeks, particularly with what's going on in the Middle East. I believe that it is quite likely that we now have sleeper cells. We now have sleeper cells throughout this country. And when you just walk around, I mean, go to a coffee shop, go to your local Costco. Do you feel as though you're in Canada right now? Because I look around and I sure as hell, this country has absolutely zero resemblance to what the country looked like in 2006. The country has completely transformed. And it's not hatred, it's not racism, it's self-preservation. It's self-preservation to fight back. Because if we continue these liberal policies of importing people, Canada as we know it, as we love it, will cease to exist. So not only do we need a total moratorium on immigration into this country, we also need to remove the people who are here illegally, which is already between 500 and 750,000 people. And we have between 2 and 4 million people who are going to have visas expiring, are going to have their visas expiring sometime in the next 2 to 3 years. And we know beyond a shadow of a doubt, these people are not going to leave the country. What's the point of giving out visas? What's the point of giving out visas and telling people, oh, we're inviting you into this country for 2 years, for 3 years, when those visas expire, we're not going to remove them? Exactly. It's absolutely not racism to protect your own culture. It's self-preservation. Look at the story in the GTA that just occurred. 4 Muslims trafficking 11 to 14-year-old girls. When did you used to hear stories about 11 to 14-year-old young Canadian girls being trafficked? This was something you never used to hear about. Now it is a regular occurrence. You're absolutely correct in saying this is self-preservation. This has nothing to do with racism. This has nothing to do with xenophobia. This has to do with saving Canada. And I know that the policies that the Fight for Canada Party proposes are wildly popular among Canada. A moratorium on immigration for the next 5 years would be wildly popular among Canadians. Deporting people here who are illegally would be wildly popular among Canadians. Think about how insane it is. Think about how insane it is that we live in a country where you can be here illegally, you can be convicted of a crime, and you still don't get deported, because that's the current liberal policy. You can be here illegally, you can be convicted of a crime, and you still are not deported from this country. What self-respecting country has a policy like that? And they don't even try to hide it anymore. It's so funny when you look at these Gays for Gaza, these pro-Palestine, these hate rallies that were on our streets for the past 3 years. None of these people are now on the streets after the Iranian conflict occurred, because it's not about fundamental rights and freedoms. In Iran, that regime quelled dissent as strongly as any regime in the world. They had women's rights protests in 2022 in Iran that were quashed incredibly strongly. It's all about hating the West. It's about hating the West. That's what unites these people. That's why all these Gays for Gaza, pro-Palestine protests that you saw on our streets for the past 3 years, you're not seeing the same thing for Iran. It's disgusting. It needs to be called out and it needs to be stopped, because the number of extremists that we now have on our streets is higher than it's ever been in this country, And unless we start doing something about it to protect our culture, thank God the United States elected Donald Trump. I can only imagine if Kamala Harris was the president in the United States right now, the United States would be absolutely done for. Biden let in 15 million people. Harris would have kept the borders open. Now Carney keeping Canadian borders open. We need to not only stop the rush of immigration, we actually need to reverse it. We need to remove the people who are here illegally, in my estimation. It's about putting a moratorium on immigration, saying no more people into the country for at least the next 5 years. Our social services cannot withstand it. Right now, on a per capita basis, when you consider the average salary of somebody living in Toronto or somebody living in Vancouver, it is the most expensive country to live in the world. The most expensive country to live in the world. And it's not complicated as to why that is. It's not complicated whatsoever. The reason is because we allow 1.5 million people into the country a year at the same time as we only build 200,000 to 300,000 houses a year. So the cultural piece, of course, is incredibly important, but the cost of living piece is equally important. The cost of living piece is huge. When you import millions of people, it's basic supply and demand. You flood the zone with supply. It gets more and more competitive to get a job. It gets more and more competitive in a housing market. The primary responsibility of the Canadian government should be to make life affordable and safe for the Canadian people. Our posterity, my grandfather fought World War II. His brother fought World War II. He wound up with PTSD. It was horrible. They were not fighting for new people to come into this country and leech off the system. They were fighting for their posterity to have an opportunity to succeed in this country. That's what they were fighting for. It's disrespectful to our ancestors to allow these open borders policies, these open border policies to flourish. It's disgusting what's going on, and it needs to be reversed. It needs to be reversed now. They can lie to us all they want. I actually think that the government of Canada, in all estimation, God bless, guys, God bless. I believe that the government of Canada, in all honesty, in all likelihood, underestimates the number of people who are in the country illegally right now. They say between 500 and 750,000 people are in the country illegally. Do you really, when you look around in Canada, does it really look to you as though it's 500 to 750,000? This country, in my estimation, we have millions. We have millions of people who are here, who are here in this country illegally. And do you trust the Liberal government as far as you can throw it? I certainly do not trust the Liberal government as far as I can throw it. Yes. So the Fight for Canada political party, I do both. I'm doing both journalism right now, covering what's going on in the country, as well as the founder of the Fight for Canada party, because we need a new party in Canada that is going to shift the Overton window on immigration. We currently have a Conservative Party of Canada that it's considered extreme. The Conservative Party of Canada, literally, this is their policy on immigration. Their policy on immigration is saying that we need to remove the luxury healthcare benefits that illegitimate asylum claimants come in. It's not nearly what we need in this country. What we actually need to do is put a total moratorium on immigration coming into this country, in my estimation, for the next between 5 and 10 years, as well as ensuring that the people who are here illegally are removed. There's between 500 and 750,000 people in Canada illegally right now. Those are the Liberal numbers. Even the Liberals admit there are between 500 and 750,000 people in the country illegally right now. They're removing 10,000 a year, such an incredibly small number. And then on expiring visas, there's going to be between 3 and 4 million people on expiring visas coming up in the next 2 to 3 years. The government of Canada is doing absolutely nothing to fund a task force tasked with removing these people from the country, because they don't want to. They vote overwhelmingly Liberal, and that's all they care about is power. They import people, replace the native population. Those people vote overwhelmingly Liberal. So they hand out visas in Canada. What they do is they hand people pieces of paper that say, oh, we're giving you a 2-year visa. Oh, we're giving you a 3-year visa. But they don't actually enforce removing the people from the country. So they hand out the visa. They say, oh, you can stay here for 2 to 3 years. But in Canada, people just stay forever. There is absolutely no pressure for people to leave. Teresa, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Teresa. Really appreciate it. And everybody who's here for the live, really appreciate it. Really appreciate everybody who supports. Really appreciate everybody who watches the channel. It's so inspiring for me to do more research every day, spread the message as best I can, because Canadians need to fight back, and Canadians need to fight back now, or this country as we know it, as we love it, is going to be gone. I have stickied up at the top of this conversation the brochures, as well as this Fight for Canada stickers, the propaganda that I'd love to get out all throughout this country. I'm eventually going to be traveling throughout Canada on behalf of the Fight for Canada party. If you're interested, please hit the link up below, hit the link above, grab our brochures, and then I can email me if you want. or if you know how to set them up on your own, do so, because this is an information battle. This is an information battle. And we know that it is an uphill battle because the CBC, CTV, Global News will never tell the truth of what's going on in this country. They will never tell the truth. They will never report the fact that in Toronto, there was a shooting, 17 shots because of what's going on in Iran. Why the hell does what's going on in the Middle East result in a shooting in Toronto? It should have absolutely nothing to do with what goes on in Canada. I believe there are hundreds of sleeper cells in this country right now, and that may actually be a conservative estimate. There may actually be more than that in Canada. We saw the mass shooting in Texas, which I already mentioned. A man shot up in the entertainment district wearing a shirt that said "Property of Allah" with a Quran in his vehicle. I can guarantee you with 100% certainty there are hundreds of these people, mainly from the Middle East. It's largely from the Middle East. We have had an open borders policy. We have allowed 53,000 people in from Iran alone in the past 5 years. How crazy is that number? 53,000 people allowed into the country from Iran in the past 5 years alone. No other country throughout the world. Why is it only Western countries where you're called a racist or a xenophobe if you want to close the border? You never hear them call the Chinese, the Russians, the Middle Eastern countries, African countries. It's never racist if they enforce their sovereignty, enforce their borders, which have always been the basic premise of having a country, is enforcing your borders. It's just in Canada. It's only in Canada that if you enforce your border, you get called a racist, a xenophobe, every single name in the book. It's truly insanity. It's truly insanity. And absolutely, the government is doing this on purpose, beyond a shadow of a doubt, because they're importing voters. The statistics do not lie. Over 85% of new arrivals vote Liberal. Over 85% of new arrivals vote Liberal. So they're literally importing a new voter base, while at the same time offering MAID, which kills 96% white Canadians, which is now killing between 40 and 50,000 people a year. So what do you call it? You don't have to be a rocket scientist. What do you call it when the government is running a medical assisted dying program that's killing between 40 and 50,000 people a year now, 96% white, and they're bringing 1.3 million people in from other countries? That's replacement. That's just basic logic. They can lie to you. And anybody who's lived in Canada for the entirety of their life, you walk around, it feels as though you're walking around in either India or the Middle East. That's just a fact. That's not racist. That's not xenophobic. It's just the fact of the matter is that this country has transformed so rapidly. It's hard to put into words. And the government, they have state-sponsored broadcasters. They have CBC, CTV, which receive $1.5 billion a year from the Canadian taxpayers, are doled out to CBC, CTV, Global News. $1.5 billion to spew their propaganda. You could go to the head of the Liberal Party of Canada. You go to the head of the Liberal Party of Canada, the head of their comms team, and you would get the exact same message that you get from the CBC, CTV. But what I really want to touch on is this red-green alliance, because we have to know exactly who our enemy is. And our enemy is this team up of the communists and the Islamic extremists. That is what the modern day Liberal Party of Canada represents. It's disgusting. It's traitorous, in my opinion. Mark Carney is in India right now. And he's literally there announcing these partnerships to bring millions more people in the country. Indian representatives are saying that Canada's population needs to hit 100 million people. I kid you not. Exactly. He's there to get more soldiers. We're bringing in a mercenary army in Canada. That's exactly what it is. It's a mercenary army that they're bringing in, because we're 15,000 troops short right now in this country. 15,000 troops short in Canada. They cannot recruit anybody because they have so crapped all over Canada, told Canadians it's a colonial state, we're living on stolen land. Who in God's name would want to fight to defend a country where their own government is crapping on it all the time? They never tell you about the Enlightenment. They never tell you about the fact that this civilization that has been built in Canada and in Western countries is the greatest civilization that's ever been built. There has never been a more open society, a society where more people have flourished financially. People are free to follow the religion that they want, have the beliefs that the women have equal rights, gays have equal rights. There has never been a civilization like theirs, and all they do is crap all over it. That's all that they do. They crap all over this civilization, which is the strongest civilization that's ever been since the late 17th century until now. There have never been countries like Canada, like the United States, like Australia, like Great Britain built before. And now they want to tell you, oh, it's a colonial white supremacist power that needs to be torn down. And that's what these people really believe. These people really believe that these great countries are colonial white supremacist powers. So when these people tell us what they think, tell us what they think of us, tell us what they want to do to our country, we need to fight back. These people are not messing around. These people are not messing around, and they hate us. So it's time for us to realize it's time to fight back. Like our posterity, we have many ancestors. I know many people in this chat. Many people have ancestors who fought and died, World War I, World War II for this country. We need to bring that same type of spirit to what's happening right now. The only difference is that largely, sadly enough, the enemy is from within. The enemy is from within in Canada, which is different than what we had before. But these woke mobsters, which is what they are, woke mobsters want to destroy our country. They think that Canada is a bunch of white supremacist post-colonialists. Well, before the settlers from Great Britain, from France, arrived into this country, before they arrived, you want to know what it looked like here? You want to know what the country looked like before the settlers arrived and built this civilization? They act as though it already existed. The indigenous was an incredibly small population, and it was killing all over the place. One tribe taking out another. There was the civilization that we now enjoy was built by the settlers, and absolutely the indigenous helped, absolutely. But the settlers built this civilization. The settlers built this civilization. My apologies, guys. I don't have a mod, so I'm gonna get rid of the guy who's being an idiot from here. Sorry about that, guys. There's always one or two woke morons who come in and have something to say. You can't afford, absolutely. The groceries are absolutely ridiculous. Grocery prices are insane. Rents are insane. And why are grocery prices so expensive? Why is rent so expensive? It's because of immigration. That's why it is. They can call you a racist. They can call you a xenophobe, but we're not stupid. If Canada had just capped its population and remained the 32 million that we had in 2006 versus the 42 million or whatever that number is right now, I can guarantee you, you look at the countries, the few countries that have actually fought back, they'll tell you that they have negative GDP. That's a total lie. You know what countries are doing the best in terms of affordability? It's Poland, it's Hungary, and it's Japan. It's the countries that have not allowed in mass immigration. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say that 64% of new arrivals to this country don't have high school diplomas. That's a fact. 64% of new arrivals don't have a high school diploma, and they leech off the system. I used to live across from a guy who never left his place. I lived in Ottawa for a year. I lived across from a guy who didn't speak English, was just off the boat, and He never left his place. The government, because he's a new arrival, I'm sure he was one of these asylum claimants. He was one of these asylum claimants. He was living for free. That they leech off the Canadian taxpayer. Those of us who have been paying taxes for the entirety of their lives. I've been paying taxes for 20 years, paying into the system. I worked in university athletics for 12 years, every single paycheck that I got. Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sonia, and your support means so much. And thank you so much to everybody who sent super chats. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Sonia. God bless you. So for a decade, I'm working in university athletics. Every paycheck, you look at the government of Canada is taking 30, 40% of your paycheck. You're paying in every year. What happens is new people arrive to this country. They have no skills. They have no money. The government offers them free healthcare, free housing, free programs. Your tax dollars are literally paying for the new arrivals to come here. And when the new arrivals get here, it pushes prices up. It's a total scam. It's a crazy scam. The government of Canada doesn't realize what they have on their hands right now. They have a bunch of enraged Canadians because groceries are too expensive. This is a fact. They can lie, they can gaslight all that they want. We have the highest inflation in Canada in the entire G7 since Mark Carney, the great economist, was elected our prime minister. We have the highest inflation in the G7 at 7.2%. Toronto and Vancouver, when you consider the average salary, are the most expensive cities to live in the entire Western world. In the entire Western world, the most expensive cities. We have a record 4 million Canadians who are using food banks. People in this country literally cannot afford to eat, cannot afford to feed themselves. In Canada now, in 1970, 53% of 30-year-old Canadians, 53% of 30-year-old Canadians were married and owned a house. In 2026, in under 60 years, thanks so much, Sonia. Thanks so much for the super chat. Thanks so much, Sonia. So in 2026, that number is 13%. In under 60 years in Canada, it has gone from 53% of 30-year-olds owning a house and being married to 13%. It's disgusting. It's disgusting and it's traitorous. The only reason for a government to exist is to make life better for their people. Over the past 11 years, it has gotten worse and worse and worse every single year. It's gotten better for the Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau class. It's gotten better for the Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau class. I can tell you that with 100% certainty. If you're Mark Carney, if you're Justin Trudeau, you have gotten a heck of a lot wealthier. But for the average Canadian, life has gotten literally less affordable every single year for the past 11 years. If that's not traitorous behavior, I don't know what is. That is absolutely the definition, the dictionary definition of traitorous behavior. And we're supposed to just eat it with a smile on. And we know what the reason is. It's because new arrivals show up in this country. We give them billions of dollars worth of benefits, They have not paid any tax dollars into the system. What we should do is implement a system. You're not allowed to take out of the system unless you have paid a certain amount of money into the system. I personally know Canadian veterans, people who fought and died for this. Well, he didn't die, but he wound up injured. And he receives $800 a month. He's in a wheelchair. He needs a wheelchair accessible. He needs to go to a wheelchair accessible condo, which costs at least $4,000 a month. It's at least $4,000 a month to get a wheelchair accessible condo. And the government gives him $800 a month. This government hates Canadians. At the same time as they're giving him $800 a month, they're giving new arrivals $240 a day. They're giving new arrivals $240 a day. If they don't hate you And that's exactly what they do. They make Canada more and more unaffordable every single year. They make Canada more and more unaffordable every single year. And you know what they do? Then they start growing the MAID program. They say, oh, you can't afford to feed yourself. Oh, you can't live. Here, we'll offer you medical assistance in dying. How sick is that? How sick is that? Now, 40 to 50,000 Canadians are passing away every single year due to medical assisted dying. So the first step is to put a total moratorium on immigration into this country. It strains our healthcare system. It strains our everything. It strains housing. How can you allow 1.5 million people in the country when you have a housing shortage and you're only building between 200,000 and 300,000 houses a year? Is there a single person? Is there a single person who can describe to me how you don't have a revolt in this country when we have a housing shortage, when people cannot afford to live, and the government is saying 1.5 million people come in a year, we're building 200,000 houses. You don't have to be an economist. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be able to figure out the fact that this is going to push housing prices further and further. No, this is not a misinterpretation. Good evening. Hey, Danny, how's it going? How's it going, everybody? This is whoever's saying this is a misinterpretation. This is not a misinterpretation. This is exactly what's been happening in Canada every single year for the last 5 years. These stats, I am not making any of these stats up. These are the real stats in Canada. We are allowing 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 million people into the country a year. The government is building between 200,000 and 300,000 houses. Can anybody explain to me? How a guy like Mark Carney, who's supposed to be this brilliant economist, his whole selling point is that he knows how economics work. You don't have to be an economist. You don't have to be anything. All you know is housing prices are going up every year. Housing prices are going up every year. We're inviting 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 million people into the country. We're only building 200,000 houses a year. I'm no mathematician. I'm no genius, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that bringing 1.4 million people into the country a year when you're only building 200,000 houses is going to push houses up. It's going to push the pricing of houses up. It's basic supply and demand. You want to know why everything's getting more expensive in the grocery store? Oh, my apologies, Kitty. Okay, my apologies. I thought you were saying I was misinterpreting the data. That data is 100% accurate. When you look at a chart, after COVID, Justin Trudeau started the most liberal immigration program that we have ever seen in the Western world. We're allowing in 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 million people into the country every single year. Those are absolutely the numbers. They are unprecedented numbers. Justin Trudeau started this in 2022, 2023, 2024. The inflation rate in Canada, again, we have a guy, Mark Carney, who sold himself. My opinion, Mark Carney reminds me of like an evil Mr. Burns. Mark Carney reminds me of an evil Mr. Burns. This guy claimed to be an economist who was going to fight for the Canadian people. Since Mark Carney was elected, for those people who will say, oh, Mark Carney knows what he's doing, Mark Carney's going to turn it around. Since Mark Carney was elected our prime minister 10 months ago, we have the highest, evil Mr. Burns is redundant. That's a good point. My apologies. We have the highest inflation rate in the entire G7. Since only Mark Carney was elected, inflation in Canada is 7.2%. 7.2%. And you're right, housing prices have dropped a little bit, but they're still completely out of control. Completely out of control. We now have 4 million Canadians. 4 million Canadians are now using food banks every year. Oh, and that's awesome. Thanks so much, everybody who's saying love the stickers. Stickied right now at the top are stickers I'll go through Danny. I'll go through the chat and look about editing it. But I love like the throwback look, and I think wherever you live, I'm going to be doing a cross country trip for Fight for Canada, spreading our message on how unaffordable, how the government of Canada is making it impossible for people to live in this country while importing millions of foreigners against Canadians' will. Because that's exactly what they're doing. But if you're interested, let me know, message me. I have instructions on how to print them at Vistaprint or wherever you go. But click on the right now, linked at the very top. I have my FFC brochure as well as stickers. I'm going to be putting them up, this propaganda up all across the country. Hit the link up top. It's also available on the website right now. If you go to reclaimcanada.ca right now, one of the tabs says stickers. And if you click on that tab, it has both the stickers and the brochures. I want these up all over the place because, like I said, my main goal is to shift the Overton window on immigration and just get the facts so that the Canadian people know. Because thanks so much, Jeff. Really appreciate it, bro. Thanks so much, Jeff. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it, Jeff. And thanks so much, everybody who supported. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. Canadians are smart. I truly believe Canadians are smart, but they've been so. Thank you, Sonia. God bless you. Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you, Sonia. Your support's been amazing. Thank you so much. Sorry, guys. I'll drop the right now. I have pinned up at the top the brochures, or you can go to the website, which is reclaimcanada.ca, and at the top there's a button that says stickers. If you click that stickers button at the top, you can get the stickers, Vistaprint, something like that. You can send me an email. Get those stickers up, because if Canadian people knew the facts of what was going on, the reason why our country is so unaffordable, the reason why Canada is being turned into a third world country is a direct result of these insane immigration policies. It's a direct result. The reason why everything in this country is so unaffordable. If a government does not put the Canadian people first, it has absolutely no right to exist. No right to exist. And we also have these socialists like Mark Carney. We have very anti-competitive industries. One of the main reasons that our food is so expensive right now, food is so insanely expensive, is because there's like 3 or 4 families that control all of the food supplies, that own Loblaws, No Frills, all the major food supplies chains. They want to tell you that, oh, it's an open competition. That's absolutely not true. The Liberal Party of Canada picks and chooses winners. The Liberal Party of Canada picks and chooses winners, which is a massive reason that the food in this country is so goddamn unaffordable, is because when you do research into it, you'll see there's like 3 or 4 major providers that have no competition for our food, which is why you go in right now and everything is so goddamn unaffordable. They can lie to us about so much, but Canadians know the standard of living is dropping every single year in this country. And I'm sorry, I don't care if they call me racist. I don't care if they call me xenophobic. If I wanted to live in a Muslim country, I would move to one of the 55 Muslim majority countries. Most Canadians I know do not want to walk around and be surrounded by women who look as if they're medieval executioners. If that makes me a racist, if that makes me a xenophobe, there are 55 Muslim majority countries. If you want to walk around with women who look as though they're dressed up as medieval executioners, then go to one of those countries, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm sick of it in Canada. We were founded on Christian values, on British parliamentary law. Those are outlaw Sharia law. We already see in the UK 85 Sharia courts. We see halal all over the place. We should outlaw Sharia law. We should outlaw halal. I'm sick of these people. I'm sick of this on the streets. Go, if you want to live your Muslim majority country, if you want to, exactly, we should stick bacon. Hey, John, how's it going? Great to see you. No, thanks so much, everybody, for being here. If you want to go live in a Muslim majority country, absolutely, go for it. Go for it. Go live in a Muslim majority country. The vast majority of Canadians, we love the West. This country was founded on the British parliamentary system, on common law, on Enlightenment values. Those laws are not compatible with Sharia law. I'm sorry. It's just the fact. There are you would never be able to go to one of the 55 Muslim majority countries and say, oh, I want to open a British parliamentary law court system. I want to open it here. It would never happen in a million years. But in Canada, we're supposed to say, oh, open your Sharia law. Oh, wear your niqab wherever you want. Thank you so much, Teresa. God bless you. Thank you so much, Teresa. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And it's the same. Thank you, Teresa. It's the exact same thing with the niqab. It's the exact same thing with niqab. Like, it's shocking to me now. You walk around this country, it seems as though every third person has a niqab on. Like, it's not hateful to say, if I wanted to go live in Saudi Arabia, if I wanted to go live in Iran, why do we have to? In Saudi Arabia, you go try and open up a church. Go try and open up a church in Saudi Arabia and let me know how that works out for you. I guarantee you it's going to be extremely ugly. I guarantee you. But in Canada, we're just like a bunch of morons who they're allowed to show up in this country. They're allowed to start their own Sharia courts. They're allowed to go pray on our streets, which we've seen time and time again. These prayer circles that are literally shutting Canadian streets down. And we just take it like a bunch of suckers. Like, they think that the Canadians who fought and died for this country, World War I, World War II, we're fighting for this type of garbage. Absolutely not. We were built on Christian values, the Enlightenment. That's what made this country a great country. There are already so many Muslim majority countries. If you're an Islamist, you have 55 countries to go to. We don't want that in our country. We are a country that was founded on Christian values. And it's so funny to me when Mark Carney, this clown, says Muslim values are Christian values. Go read our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It literally mentions religion in the first line. The first line, it mentions religion. It was Catholics. When they talk about freedom of religion in Canada, when they were talking about freedom of religion, what they were actually talking about was freedom between Protestants and Catholics, freedom of different Christian denominations. Those are just the facts. Those are just the facts. That's what this country was founded on. If you want to go live in a Muslim majority country, go to one of the 55 Muslim countries. If you want to live in a communist country, go move to China. That's what makes the world beautiful. Is you can, if there's a communist country, there's a Muslim majority country. Canada was founded on Christian values, on the British parliamentary system, on common law. The issue is these far lefties have never read a book. They're ahistorical. They know absolutely nothing. The Francophones and the Brits are the ones who came and settled this land, and they enshrined into law the British parliamentary system, common law, respecting the right of the individual, everybody. This is what else differentiates our system is no matter if you're the leader, no matter who you are, you're looked at as the same in front of the law. That's what differentiates Western countries. We don't live in a caste system like they have in India. We don't live in a country with Sharia law where certain leaders are put above the law. No, everybody in Canada, it's enshrined into our Constitution. Everyone in Canada is looked at as equally in front of the law. And we need a Canadian nationalist movement. We need a Canadian nationalist movement who is going to stand up and point these Canadian values out, which is why I founded Fight for Canada. We need, because I'm not scared. I used to work in university athletics for 10 years. I'm not scared I'm willing to fight and die for this, because in my opinion, it's the future of our country is on the line. We need people to be willing to stand up proudly and say, I am a Canadian nationalist, and spell out the values that means. I believe in the British parliamentary system. I believe in common law. I believe everybody is equal in front of the law. These are not These are not the values that you get in the 55 Muslim majority countries. These are not the values you get. We should be banning the niqab. We should be banning halal meat. The way that they make halal meat, they don't even stun the animals before they slit their throat. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's so painful for the animal. That's another perfect example. In Canada and Western countries, we believe in treating animals with empathy. Do you have any idea how a dog is treated in these Muslim majority countries? I thought about just getting a big dog and just walking around the city when we had all these. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Dog and walking around these hate mobs that have gone on our street. Go stick your fake body bags, your fake blood on your hands, your Sharia law calls. Go do that in another country. Go do that in another country. I'll walk my dog wherever I goddamn well please. And I stand for the same values that the founders stood for. But if Canadians don't start standing up and fighting back right now, this country is going to cease to exist, because these people are extremists, and nobody is willing to do more for their cause than an Islamic extremist, than a religious extremist of any type. A religious extremist of any type. It's just the facts. I mean, the facts are the facts. And I know people who have lived in the Middle East. I know people who have lived in the Middle East. It is a totally different world. It's a totally different world there. We don't want that for Canada. If I was to move to the Middle East, I would have to assimilate. I would have to learn their culture, get used to it, and assimilate. But they don't do that when they come to Canada. There's no assimilation. They think they can just show up here, continue to dress up as a medieval executioner, which is legitimately what these people dress up as. They dress up as medieval executioners, and they don't think that they think that they can drive society to be how they want it to be, and that's not how it's going to be. That's absolutely not how it's going to be. That's not how it's going to be. If I have anything to say for it, that's not how Canada is going to be. So we need Canadian nationalists. I'm curious in the chat, how many people would consider themselves to be Canadian nationalists? Is that a term that most people here are familiar with? And also, yeah, when you look into the leadership, yeah, thank you. I know we have a lot of Canadian nationalists here. And also, when you look into the amen, yeah, I know we have a lot of Canadian nationalists here. This is fantastic, and it's so funny too when the far left, amazing. I know there's so many people who are on the same page, and there's nothing wrong with that. The craziest thing is that every other group is allowed to have pride. There's nothing wrong with saying you have Japanese pride, you have Iranian pride, you have whatever country, Nigerian pride. It's only if you say you have Canadian pride, all of a sudden you're a racist or a xenophobe. And that's because they're trying to subvert and kill our country. Well, it's time to fight back against the commies. This is what the commies always want to do. They want to say you're not allowed to be proud of your heritage. I don't goddamn think so. My grandfather and my grandfather's brother fought and died for this country. My grandfather's brother got PTSD fighting in the war. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Canadians have been so brainwashed well, Mark Carney doesn't believe in Canadian nationalism. He believes in something called civic nationalism. But Canadians have been so brainwashed that they think they're not allowed to claim that they are Canadian nationalists. We've had enough of it. Canadians have had enough of it. They're putting their foot down and saying, I am standing up for the values that made this country great, and our ancestors who fought and died for this country, World War I, World War II, were fighting for their posterity. They weren't fighting for 52,000 people. I know civic nationalism is a total joke. They were not fighting. I'm sorry, our ancestors were not fighting for 52,000 people to come over here from Iran in the past 5 years. Our ancestors were not fighting. Our ancestors were not fighting so that when there's a dispute in the Middle East, some Islamist is shooting up a Canadian business. Like that's not what our posterity was fighting for. And we need to be willing to stand up and say that. Stand up and say that this country was founded on Christian religious values, on common law, on the British parliamentary system. It's literally written into our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Now they gaslight you, they lie to you, they say correct. It was a Canadian Iranian owned business. The business that got shot into had some Iranian nationalist type stuff. But the point I'm trying to make, is, in my opinion, somebody said Jews or Arabs. What is the bigger threat? My point is just neither of these have anything to do with Canada. Like the conflict between Israel and Iran has nothing to do with Canada. Now, in my opinion, I think that Islamic extremism is scary in this country because of what I've seen over the past 3 years. I've seen it up close with hate rallies on our streets, But my point is that why in Canada, when we have 4 million people using food banks, when life is more unaffordable than it's been in decades, during one of the most prosperous times of all time, why do we have to be concerned about these international conflicts? Sending $25.5 billion to the country of Ukraine is insanity. We should not have sent Ukraine a penny. Why are we sending billions of dollars to Palestine? That has nothing to do with Canada. Worry about Canada. We are literally located perfectly situated on a map for not having to allow anybody in the country. It's literally, Canada is perfectly situated for not having to allow anybody into the country, for worrying about Canadian citizens, But our government does the exact same. They make it easy. They literally advertise overseas that we have free healthcare in Canada. That's not a joke. The government of Canada literally promotes overseas that we have free healthcare in Canada. Yeah, I'm with you. No foreign protests on Canadian soil. Can you imagine if you went to Saudi Arabia, if you went to Iran, if you went to Iraq, and you started protesting about Canadian issues on there? Can you imagine how they would treat you? Yet in Canada, you want to go on our streets and protest about some foreign event, and you literally get police protection. You get police protection in this country. These hate rallies on our streets then that's what they are. The hate rallies on our streets over the past 3 years receive police protection. Sorry, guys, I'm just going to remove. What I should do at some point is get somebody to like be a mod, because every once in a while we get a left-wing troll. These left wingers really can't control themselves. I don't think there's any. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, guys, if anybody's interested in being a mod, please let me know. Just so everybody's aware, I'm going to be doing live streams every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday night at 7 p.m. For those who are interested in joining the Fight for Canada movement, send me an email at zachary.mccrae1515@gmail.com. If you're interested in being a mod, because there's a couple of spammers. You always know you got a left winger, you got a wokey when they're acting mentally unwell in the chat. These people are mentally unwell. They think that a man can become a woman can become a man. They think that we should be giving hormones to 14-year-old children. These people are sick in the head. Thanks so much for the kind words. These people are sick in the head. Anybody who thinks that we should give hormones to a 14-year-old and thinks that sex isn't determined at birth and a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man, I don't want you to get away from me. Like you can have your views wherever the heck you want, but please get away from me. Yeah, if you'd like to moderate for me, that would be friggin' fantastic. Please shoot me a message at zachary.mccrae1515@gmail.com. That'd be amazing. And just so you guys are aware, I'm going to be doing these live streams. If you're interested in joining, helping me plan Fight for Canada's next step, I'm going to be doing an across Canada trip, spreading our word, particularly on immigration, as well as I have the brochure and the stickers tabbed Stuck It up top if you're interested in helping me spread our message, because propaganda is such a big piece of what we're doing, because we're up against this behemoth CBC, CTV, global news. We need all hands on deck to fight this. So if you are interested in helping me and mod these, we always know there's going to be I always get a couple of comments on my videos from these mentally unwell lefties. When you spew out pure facts, they have a conniption. When you state a man cannot become a woman cannot become a man, they always lose their mind. So yeah, shoot me an email if you're interested. That'd be fantastic. Really appreciate it, because I could use a couple of mods, because I don't like to always have to be looking at the chat. And thank you so much to everybody who sent super chats. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed, who's joined. Awesome, Danny. I'll get back to you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate everybody's supports. We need to get to a point where, I know, why would I always find that incredibly strange too, why lefties go on. Like, I don't consume any woke content. I have no interest in it. But for whatever reason, there's always a percentage of these lefties who jump in and want to comment on everything. They must have absolutely no life, because I always think to myself, I'm only really interested in working with people who share my worldview. Like, we're in a serious fight for Canada right now. We need to be working with like-minded people. Why would I be wasting my time going on trolling? But like I said, these are people who believe a woman can become a man can become a woman. These are very frequently extremely mentally unwell people who I guess get some sort of a kick out of it. I mean, I'm just kind of assuming, but that's what I'm assuming it is. And to the far lefties who dispute the fact that Canada is as unaffordable as ever, and it's a direct result of immigration. If you don't have my email here, I'll put it in the chat right now. It's Zachary.McCrae. Yeah, they need their SSRIs changed. Seriously. And how many of them also? It's Zachary.McCrae1515 at gmail.com. You're exactly right. Islamic extremism is the world's problem. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, so just so you're aware, moving forward, I will get a mod or two to screen out and make sure there's somebody who's legit, who's on our side, because you always have to be careful, right? You always have to be careful about exactly. We know there's a percentage of these left-wing trolls, but getting back to the immigration argument, do you think it's just a coincidence that inflation in Canada, that cost of living in Canada completely started to spin out of control permanently the exact same time that our immigration boomed like it's never before? These people who gaslight you, who say to you, oh, immigration has absolutely nothing to do with it. They're gaslighting you. They're lying to you. The statistics do not lie. We have the worst inflation in the G7. We're the most unaffordable country in the G7, the most unaffordable groceries. And it just totally coincidentally happens to coincide exactly with this unfettered, unlimited mass immigration. I don't think so. There's absolutely no chance. But that's the issue. These liberals, the issue is conservatives, Canadian nationalists are tied to the truth. Yeah, thank you very much. I do have mugs up on my website. If you're interested in grabbing some Fight for Canada gear, reclaimcanada.ca. Every dollar goes towards supporting the movement. On reclaimcanada.ca, you can see all of our gear. I really appreciate it. That's exactly right. Mississippi is the poorest state in the United States. Now, on a per capita basis, Canada is poorer than the poorest place in the United States. And it is because largely due to the immigration, as well as the oligarchies, the anti-competitive measures. These socialists try to force on us things like net zero policies. We should never be paying a carbon tax in Canada. We should absolutely never be paying a carbon tax in Canada. They want to force on you. Mark Carney is one of these Marxists, one of these far lefties who wants to dictate what you are and are not allowed to do. It's disgusting. It's disgusting and it ain't stand. But they can gaslight us. They can lie to us. We know that just at the exact same time as immigration in this country started to absolutely explode is the exact same time that everything in Canada is suddenly wildly out of control in terms of cost. Wildly out of control in terms of cost. And we do have, that's another great point. Yes, the government of Canada just announced they are expediting immigration claims for foreign soldiers. That's not a joke. Look into the fall of the Roman Empire. We are now inviting foreign soldiers onto our soil right now. If that is not a prelude to some nasty things coming our way, I don't know what is. But it is going to be ugly. Any government that is inviting foreign mercenaries onto your country is not on your side. That's when I talk about the enemy from within. That's what, because we are perfectly situated on a map in Canada to not have to deal with any of these foreign conflicts. We are perfectly situated on a map. I mean, we literally in Canada could not be situated any better on a map, but we have a government that's working against us. So that's why it's so tricky, because we invite the problems in. They're not here, but we invite them on. I would love Storm Before Storm. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll check Storm Before Storm out. Absolutely. And Donald Trump's doing an amazing job. Yeah, I totally agree. Donald Trump has shut down immigration, people crossing the border, to zero. Zero. There is no immigration now entering the United States of America, and they're removing people. What I want to aim to have Fight for Canada aim towards is the same policy as Trump's United States and Restore Britain. Rupert Lowe is doing a fantastic job. Rupert Lowe is doing a fantastic job in Britain with Restore Britain. Yeah, absolutely. The foreign conflicts have nothing to do with Canada. We should have a government that looks out for the Canadian people. The government has no right to exist unless they exist purely for the Canadian people. There is literally no other reason for a government to exist. No, I do. I really like Rupert Lowe. I really like Rupert Lowe. I think that Rupert Lowe is a better version of Farage. In my estimation, Lowe is a better version of Farage, because Farage has said some weird stuff. When you actually look into what Farage has said, he's said some weird stuff on immigration. I think that somewhat like the Conservative Party in Canada, and it's my opinion. It's my opinion that in a lot of cases, the Conservative Party of Canada is essentially controlled opposition. And Farage has said a few things that make me think he may be in a somewhat similar vein to Farage. To Polyev, is this kind of controlled opposition, whereas Rupert Lowe is legit. Rupert Lowe says what he means and means what he says. Have any of you guys heard, who actually is interesting in Canada, who I would love to jump on a podcast with? I did a podcast with True Patriot Love, which was fantastic. Are any of you guys familiar? Yeah, Professor Jang is incredible. Are any of you guys familiar with the Dominion Society in Canada? They actually showed up at the Conservative convention. They had some funny signs that said like "conserve what," and it was pictures of Polyev pandering to the Sikh community, because Polyev has gone out and pandered to the Sikh community quite frequently. Yeah, I think you're right. Farage did change his tune, which is why I think Restore Britain is so good. I didn't know that. Can you expand on that? When you say they tried to take him out a few times, I was not familiar with that. All I know is that he has said some things I don't agree with. So I'm aiming to target Restore Britain as well as Trump in the United States. Oh yeah, and you know what else I wanted to mention? You know what else I wanted to mention? Yeah, he has a documentary. Yeah, the guys at Dominion Society of Canada are doing a documentary that I have heard is quite good. Yeah, Mark Carney has already been on over 30 international trips. Carney's been on 30 international trips. Oh, really? You think those guys are feds? I don't think they're feds. I could be wrong about it. Yeah, they want to focus on They want to focus on remigration as well. But I don't think those guys are feds. I've spoken to Daniel Tyree before, who's actually the head of the Dominion Society, and I don't think so. I know with stuff like this, you always do wonder, oh my God, are they trying to like put people on somebody's radar or something? But in my experience, I'm fairly certain that those guys are legit. I'm fairly certain that those guys are legit. Yeah, Ezra Levant has some hilarious stuff. I don't know how many of you guys have seen Ezra Levant, but he actually has some hilarious stuff. He actually was in Davos. He was in Davos for this ridiculous climate convention that they were having, and he got right in Stephen Galbo's face because yeah, Ezra Levant doesn't give a shit. He'll get right in guys' faces. It's actually amazing. So Stephen Galbo blocked Ezra Levant on Twitter. Stephen Galbo, the former environmental guy in Canada, who's a total whack job. A total whack job. Stephen Galbo, and apparently he stole like 250. Exactly. Good point, caffeinated cutie. Too many to monitor us all. You're exactly right. So Galbo, who apparently siphoned off like $200 million to his green scam companies, Galbo blocked Ezra Levant on Twitter, and Ezra Levant sued him because as a government official, you're not allowed to sue somebody. And the ruling came out that Galbo had to pay Levant. Galbo had to pay Levant $20,000. And I kid you not, he paid the $20,000 Galbo didn't pay through his own cash. The Canadian taxpayers paid the $20,000 for Galbo. But all these liberals are pansies. Every single one of them are pansies. Every single one of them are pansies. Like, would you be intimidated or scared? Do you think they'd actually stand on business? A single one of these liberals? Mark Carney, are you kidding me? That dead-eyed ghoul? 100% he should have paid his own fine. He had the Canadian taxpayers. The Canadian taxpayers paid this man's fine. What an absolute scumbag. Like, I mean, seriously, but it shouldn't surprise you at all, because the Liberals, all they do is steal Canadians' money. We've sent $25.5 billion to Ukraine when we have a $78.3 billion deficit. But the deficit they mentioned is $78.3 billion. You want to know what the debt is? The debt is $1.38 trillion. We have a $1.38 trillion debt in Canada. Per person, we owe $32,000 per person. $32,000 per person is owed in Canada. How many of a country where we owe $32,000 per person can we afford to spend $25.5 billion on Ukraine? And then the craziest thing about what's gone in Ukraine is that Chrystia Freeland left her position as an MP, and Chrystia Freeland, that fat little gremlin, went over to the Ukraine, and she's now a senior official in charge of the rebuilding of Ukraine. And Brookfield Asset Management is also in charge of that. It's such a scam. You're exactly right. The Ukraine is a big laundromat as far as I'm concerned. The Ukraine is a big laundromat. That's exactly what it is. We send $25.5 billion there, and now Chrystia Freeland is going there to oversee the dispersal of those funds. So Canada is as unaffordable as it's ever been, and we are going to oversee the rebuilding of Ukraine? Are you effing kidding me? How about the rebuilding of Canada? How about the rebuilding of Canada? Yes, I am. I am going to be planning a march eventually. Busby, stay tuned. I already did one rally on Parliament Hill. About 50 people showed up. I'm going to be doing another soon. But it's a total laundromat. The money going over to Ukraine is a complete scam. And as far as I'm concerned, there should be some sort of a tax strike or something like that in Canada, because we are literally being stolen from. We are being stolen from. And did you know that Carney and Freeland have some sort of a familial relation? I kid you not. Carney is like the godfather to Chrystia Freeland's kid or something. I don't remember the exact connection, but there's a strong connection there. It's so shocking. It's absolutely shocking. Yeah, exactly. There are communities that have no running water, and we're sending $25.5 billion to the Ukraine. It's if you didn't laugh, you'd cry. Like the policies are so insane that it's literally, you're exactly right. It's literally a point. If you weren't laughing, you would cry. Yeah, you're exactly right. Her hands are pruned from all that washing. It's truly shocking. That's actually amazing. Send our Indian migrants to rebuild Ukraine. I think that's actually a great idea. You know what we should actually do? Every new immigrant who arrives in Canada from the Middle East, from India, they should have to go to rebuild Ukraine. That's incredible. We can definitely come up with a good slogan here. That's hilarious. Yeah, send them to Ukraine. Canada's full. Do you guys like that? I like Canada's full. I think that's a good slogan. I think that and also just from a cultural perspective, I'm sorry, I don't want to walk into my Costco and feel as though I'm in India. Walk into Costco and feel as though I'm in the Middle East. You know what I mean? It's like enough is enough. Yeah, if the Middle East wants to have their wars, have their wars. Leave Canada out of it. We're a peaceful country. Let Canadians be with other Canadians. We do not want anything to do with it. You guys can fight your own battles. We do not want to be involved with it in Canada. You moved to India. That's so funny. You moved to India, exactly. We moved to India without packing. Canadian, that's another really good slogan I could use. That's 100%. I'm actually going to take a picture of that. Canadians moved to India without packing. Oh, that's such a good line. Oh man, you guys have to drop some more of these funny lines in the chat. If you guys have any funny lines for like swag and stuff, please in the chat. We can actually split the proceeds of anything that I sell. Yeah, they're funny, but we can actually split the proceeds of anything I sell because you deserve some credit for some of these lines. These lines are hilarious, but I moved to India without packing is actually such a good one. If you don't mind, I think I'm going to put a video up soon about how Canadians moved to India without packing because it's 100% true. Canadians Canadians either move to India or they move to the Middle East without packing. It's one of those two. I'm sorry, it's funny. If you can't laugh at it, you know what's so funny too? Yeah, made in China. That's a made in China is a jokes one too. These are some really jokes one because if you can't laugh, you'll cry. And I'm so sick of these humorless people saying you can't make a joke. Hey, if you want to make fun of me, go for it. Absolutely. Like you only live once. You have to be able to laugh. You know what I mean? I hate there's nothing. One of the most annoying things about these wokies is everything is so serious. Like they can't laugh about anything. They have no ability whatsoever. Though I guess for those of them that if you said a woman could become a man and a man could become a woman, I guess you probably wouldn't be laughing at much either. There's going to be a lot of these trans people walking around who, when it goes out of fashion, it's exactly life isn't a safe space. That's very true. Yeah, so many of these people have absolutely liberals are the most humorless people I have ever met in my life. There's like I heard this really great saying about in order to have meaningful discussion, in order to debate somebody, you need to be able to offend somebody, or else. Yeah, exactly. They banned Rob Schneider. Yeah, Zita, exactly. They banned Rob Schneider from Canada. That's exactly right. If we lived in a society where the society functioned on nobody could say anything that offended anybody, in Canada now nobody would be able to say anything. Nobody would be able to say anything. Like it's so ridiculous. You can never have a free, open, and honest debate unless you're willing to offend people. Like that's one of the worst things about Canada. Even when I post to YouTube, it's like to a degree, I need to self-censor myself from what I actually want to say because you're always worried like am I allowed to say this? Am I allowed to say that? You know what I mean? It's you can't live in a society like that. You're exactly right. We have three bills, Bill C8, Bill C9, Bill C63. There are three anti-free speech bills right now that they're attempting to pass. The most extreme of them is Bill C63. In Canada, they literally want to create something called, it's so dystopic, it's so Orwellian. It's so Orwellian. They want to create something that's called a digital safety commission. And what this digital safety commission would do is 10 unelected bureaucrats would have the ability to throw you in jail, confiscate your weapons, or put you under house arrest, not for anything you've said, but if somebody reports that they think you're likely to say something hateful in the future. I kid you not. It's so insane. I'm like, oh, when that bill's passed, if somebody looks at my YouTube videos, I'm definitely going to get arrested. Like it's such a joke, but who cares? You can't live your life like that. Exactly. Sticks and stones. It's because it's like the wussification of our society. It's the ultimate wussification of society. Mm. It's the most sensitive, pansy ass people that you've ever seen in your entire life are somehow the ones who are making the laws now in Canada. Like it's the most annoying people, the most disgusting people who are somehow the ones in Canada who are making the laws now. It's crazy. Just a reminder, guys, if you want to help me get the message out, I have attached up top the brochure as well as the stickers. Shoot me an email if you want a hand setting it up. But I have the brochures and the stickers tagged up top, or you can go to reclaimcanada.ca, the website, and click on stickers and help get the message out. For our message is a total moratorium on immigration, remigration, and a focus on the Canadian people, putting Canadians first. My God, yeah, seriously, put estrogen in the jabs. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yeah, our society has gone. Our society has gone absolutely changed. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously no guarantees I won't be silenced, Chris. I had a TikTok with like 50,000 followers, and they kicked me off of that. On YouTube, I tried on YouTube. They're a little more liberal, apparently, in terms of the language that they let use. But I try to. I mean, to be honest, I do self-censor myself a little bit. But I think YouTube is a little bit better, and it's not as though I'm not calling for violence against anybody. I'm not. All I'm saying is that I'm pointing out the Islamization, the red-green alliance between the commies and the Islamists. I'm pointing out our insane immigration policies. Like, I'm not violating any of their terms of service or anything like that. But with the Canadian government, I mean, you never know. You absolutely never know. Which is why I always ask on like if you want, check out my YouTube video to make sure we can stay in touch with this movement in case anything ever would happen. Join the Discord. Discord is up on my YouTube channel. You get the link if you want to donate. Discord, grab some merch. Everything's up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@FightForCanada 2026. It's all up there. Yeah, we need to bring back big ball energy in Canada big time. We need to bring back big ball energy in Canada big time because these wokies have become much too confident. These wokies have become much too confident, and we really need exactly the number of Uber drivers, and it's a million too many. It's really ridiculous the amount of people that we brought into this country now. 64% of them don't even have a high school diploma. Like it's the definition of insanity. It's not making Canada any better. It's actually making Canada much worse. Elbows up is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I found it hilarious when Mark Carney said that the government of Canada was not planning on contributing to the effort in Iran. It's like, what exactly were you planning on sending? We have nothing to send them. Our military is pathetic. We've spent like 1.3% of our GDP on national defense. We have nothing to send them. It's the definition of insanity. Don't give woke an inch. You're absolutely right. Don't give woke an inch because they'll take a mile. You can absolutely never, ever, ever give these people an inch. That could not be stated any better. That could not be stated any better. It's so true. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much. God bless you. Everybody who's jumped in. The brochure and the stickers are up there. I'm going to be doing lives next. My next live is going to be Wednesday at 7 p.m. So I'm doing these lives if you want to set your calendar, I'll also set reminders. Thank you. God bless, guys. If you want to set your calendars, I'm going to be doing lives every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 7 p.m. Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 7 p.m., which I think is a good time to do it. 7 p.m. seems like people seem to be available. Check out reclaimcanada.ca. Thank you so much to everybody who supported. Thank you so much. Send me an email, zachary.mccrae1515@gmail.com. It's great to have Canadian patriots getting together. We are going to fight. We are going to take this country back. I will see you the next live Wednesday, 7 p.m. every Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 7 p.m. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you all soon. This chat is amazing. God bless you. Talk soon. See you guys. Awesome. Thank you guys.